Sophia, we get a lot of backstory of Kora through flashbacks. When you actually get to act out that history rather than just have it be a part of the character and mentioned on the script, does that really make it easier for you to incorporate it into your full performance?
Yeah, and I mean, it's part everybody's process is different, I suppose. But like for an actor, I mean, a lot of people that I know, like we work from this place of backstory a lot, like building that backstory, writing, journaling, and making the past of your character as real and rich as possible. But when you actually get to film all those backstories, it just makes it more tangible and more real, and it just helped and facilitated my process to play Kora, nowadays Kora.
That makes a lot of sense. And Ed, your character is a real hater. There are some really brutal scenes, and he uses that bone staff and gets so much satisfaction from it. So, what was your approach to playing this antagonist that's so intimidating and menacing?
I mean, so much went into it. My approach was actually to strip away rather than to add. You know, to strip away the moral conscience and moral code and strip away all ethics entirely. You know, what happens if you strip all this away from a human being? What are you left with? And it's pretty monstrous. You know, and yeah, it also makes things a lot more simple when it's like you've taken all this away and at your core, what do you have left? Cold, sadistic ambition.
Absolutely. And Sophia, the amount of effort that went into making Velt a real village is really remarkable. Did that help your performance and give greater context to the world that you were acting in?
Yeah, of course, it facilitated so much of our process. Again, not only Velt, but Providence, Dagis. I think we got the luxury of having these amazing sets right before our eyes. I remember in Santa Clarita we had Velt and then we had Providence. And the first thing we shot on in Santa Clarita was on Providence. And I remember having my Super 73, my electric bike, and I just started to stroll around because there are a few sets there. And I remember coming across Velt before I knew that it was for us, thinking, wow, that's incredible. Look at this set. Like, they left this so intact and it's giant, it's really fun. And then next thing I know is that it was for us. So I was
That's
just
where you
blown
live.
away. That's
Yeah.
where I live. That's where Kora lives. No, honestly, and then the set decks and everything was so spot on. I mean, Hagen, the scene with Hagen that you see at the beginning of the movie was shot in one of those huts. Literally, it was not even in studio. That's how real it
wow.
was. The scene with Dan that you'll see later on was shot in there. The scene where I'm saddling the horse, all in there. All so practical and just sturdy, literally sturdy. It wasn't.
That's so cool. And Ed, your fights look great in this film. So what stood out to you about Zach's approach to action sequences?
You know, I think the main thing that stands out about Zach and his physicality was like when I spoke to him on the Zoom when I was back in London, he said to me, oh yeah, and like, on every set I build a big gym, and everyone goes there. And I was like, oh wow, like this is amazing. I was like, usually I'm a gym rat by myself and I'm just like this lonely gym rat. And I was like, my director is a gym rat as well. I was like, this is gonna be amazing. But from at the beginning, I was just thinking about it in terms of enjoyment. Like, oh great, I get to train with people. But what's tangible and what you see on screen is that everyone looks like warriors. Everyone really looks like they're from this world. Like survival is not easy, even on the spaceship, you know? So we all had this kind of physicality that was really tangible. In terms of the way Zach shoots the scenes, I mean, other than the fact that he's like really on top of it and he's just like knows exactly what he wants, it's not so different from other filmmakers when you're in the midst of it. What's different is when you see what he's done on screen. I don't really look at the monitors too much unless they say to me like, hey, come over here, what you're doing is terrible, or come over here, this looks badass, you need to see this. So I didn't see any of it basically. So, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, Zack Snyder's shooting this movie, so, I've just got to make the movements correct and then he's gonna make it beautiful. And so when I saw it, I was like, oh, wow. And like the slow-mo shot with Levitica boom. It's like, you know, obviously we don't shoot in slow-mo. So, you know, it was kind of just the greatest. It was like Christmas, you know. Go the night before I was going to see the screening with Kate, I was like, it's like Christmas Eve. I was like, oh my gosh, I get to see like what Zack did to us and how he made us look. And yeah, every now and then on set, I would think like, oh yeah, like this beautiful man that I'm hanging out with, this lovely human being, like is Zack Snyder and is gonna make me look badass, because I was so kind of caught up in the minutia and the specifics and the emotional specifics. It's like, if I bring the emotional narrative correctly, he'll make me look badass. Same way with the fight scenes. If I do the correct movements and my footwork and balance and everything is in the right place, I'll let him worry about, you know, how he's gonna cover it. And yeah, the outcome was spectacular. He did not disappoint. I still can't believe I'm in a Zack Snyder movie, man.
Yeah, me too.